anything that came to them as they were doing that process? Yes.
I felt like this person that I want to be acknowledged. I kind of wished them well and wanted everything in life to happen for them, but I still did feel resentment and hurt and some of those negative things. It wasn't easy just to, I still wish everything well. You know, I think they're also a human being, loving, you know, they deserve everything that I would want for myself. I'm okay with that, but still that feeling of hurt and it was still there.
Okay. Good.
I need to process more.
So right, and thank you for sharing that, Gopal, because yeah, it's not just magically all, right, little butterflies and rainbows. So that's really good to recognize that. And this then, after you practice this on another person who may be causing you challenge, practice it on yourself. Do the loving, like, I wish for me joy and happiness. I wish for me to be free of pain and suffering. And it's a beautiful opportunity to spend that time with you being loving kindness to yourself and saying, I am in pain. I do feel this. Again, this is not about ignoring how we truly feel. It's about being conscious of that and aware of that. Yeah. Good. And then, yeah, processing through that. And again, figuring out more about what that might be, or letting it go. And but only you will know when those steps are and when they're appropriate. And again, so we have professionals who can help you with that as well. Is that helpful? Okay. Good. Are there any other thoughts? Yes.
I felt freer because I felt like I was forgiving her, but because it really wasn't fault because it wasn't my own expectations. Yeah. But at the same time, I felt like I was being different to her personally, which really didn't sit well with me because I do care, but I just don't appreciate the way that she handles herself when it comes to students, and my students particularly. So there's some resentment in there, but I felt better that I was able to forgive her, and yet forgiving her, it felt like I was being indifferent to her. So it's a little...
Good. Okay, good. Did anybody else feel that way at all? Okay. And no, that's all right. We have a lot of people in the room, so the people behind the video can't really like, yeah! They're at home going, yeah! I feel that way. So the idea, again, then, is go back to that and say, and go back to this conscious choice-making model, and then move that in here. So what are my choices? Right? How do I feel? And what are my choices? Right? And then you might go back to, I'm being authentic, and this might be her authentic, and it might be a clash of perspectives. Right? Again, it's oftentimes I have conflict with someone. It's a clash of perspectives. And typically my pain comes from they're not doing what I want. For me, that's typically the case. They're not behaving in the manner I want them to behave. And I'm in pain now. And the more I want them to behave in a certain way, then I move into suffering. And if I feel that they might need to know how they're showing up, then I go forward and say, I'm just curious. Are you interested in knowing how that behavior pattern may be perceived? And I always say may be perceived, not is perceived, because it's only my perception. Okay? Are you interested in knowing how that behavior or that behavior pattern might be perceived? And what I really is gems is when my friends come to me and say, you know, people they seem to be reacting to this, and I keep seeing them. I'm like, huh. Would you like to process that? You know, I'm like, yes, thank you. Because it's been driving me crazy too. Right? But that's mind down. Is that helpful? So that's how these things kind of intertwine. And if somebody, again, not appreciating you, you can use the Byron Katie's process on that. That makes me feel this way. Okay, that's fine. What's my thought behind that? I'm not worthy. Is that true? No. All of you. That answer is no. This I know to be true. You are worthy, right? But that's usually what goes behind my, oh, I'm not loved. You know, my father doesn't love me, or my mother doesn't love me. Is that true? Yes. Do I know beyond a doubt it's true? No, I don't. That may be how they're expressing their love. Incidentally, fabulous research I got this weekend, and I'm sorry I don't have all these citations written out, but we'll get Matthew's writing them out, and we'll get you that, and we'll get you the recorded PowerPoint so you can have access to that, because it was just, if you want. Some of it you will want to join, because it was interesting for your dissertation. But there's this vagus connection, neural connection, that connects the mind and the heart. And they're finding out that people do have different capacities to love and to show compassion. Different biological, physiological capacity to do that. Isn't that fascinating? And I sat there and going, well, that explains a lot. Isn't that interesting? So, isn't that fascinating? I mean, this is preliminary research, but that's what they're finding, that's what they discover. Isn't that interesting? But I digress. All right. So that, you know, for me, that helped me really practice with the loving kindness thing. I'm like, maybe they have a small vagus connection. Maybe it's constricted. I don't know. Not that I'm going to go up to people and go, is your vagus nervous system constricted? Now they'd really be like love doctors, right? People who work on trying to, sorry. How funny is that? Okay. Where was I? Anybody? All right. Oh, yeah. So the idea of this also is with the loving kindness focused practice. Because we're going for a federal grant now, I have to remove meditation out of the conversation. So if you see me struggling with that, I'm trying to practice. But with this focus thing, what we learned again in David Destano's research is that if we focus on similarities, and this is not to ignore that people have differences, that is not what this is about. You can go up to someone and see their differences clearly, or maybe you can't, or you have a different perspective. But usually our conflict remains when we focus on the differences, right? If we experience conflict. But when we move, what they found out is neurologically, when you begin to focus on people's similarities, and this is an exercise, you don't have to use it, an exercise to use to help you focus on your similarities with someone you're experiencing a difference with, and it can be yourself as well. You're more likely to engage in compassionate behavior toward that other person. And this works from this research, whether that is a loved one, or a stranger, or an adversary, or yourself. When I'm in conflict with myself, if I could remember to practice loving, I just learned this research, so I thought, oh, I'm going to be practicing this. And I was practicing it on the plane when the guy next to me spilled his entire Coke on my lap during takeoff, so he couldn't get up, you know. So I'm sitting there in a Coke. Napkins! Poor guy. He was exhausted. But you can use this anytime. Okay, questions? And then what I'd like to do for you to do is, we don't have time for this, but we'll post this on the site, is that second list that you made. And that second list was people who expect to feel acknowledgement and appreciation from you and do not. And it's an inquiry into why might that be, and you might want to check in, do I feel that something's not okay about this person? What needs to be fixed? I love that. What needs to be fixed on this person before I'll show them appreciation? What needs to be changed? What do they need to change? And then you kind of go into what I've been making wrong. This is the Byron Katie thing. Check in with your thoughts. Is that true about that person? I don't know. You know, my first reaction when the guy spilled the Coke was, right, jerk. Right? But when I looked at him, it was like he was barely awake. Something was really wrong with him. And I had no idea what it was. But I'm like, change my point of view right away. What am I going to give up about this person? What belief, what thought am I going to give up about this person? Or what about my point of view can I give? Even if there's just one aspect, like you start with one aspect. What about this point of view? Sometimes for me it's, the person's an idiot. Right? No, the person's not an idiot. You just don't agree. What am I justified to keep? And I'm justified to keep this perspective or this belief because fill in the blank. Right? So you can become aware of what you feel justified to keep. What's the cost of keeping it? This was key for me when I did this exercise. What is the cost of keeping all this? What's the cost of holding on to this? For me, it was a lot of suffering, a lot of pain and suffering. What's the benefit of giving it up? And also there were some beliefs around here that, again, of like, I don't have to believe that if I give up this thought about someone that I adopt I'm not worthy. I can give that up too. Is that helpful? Okay. Cool. So these will be on there and you can do that. And the whole idea here is just to remember that our point of view may or may not be who we are. My thoughts may or may not be who I am. So we want to just become aware of how our point of view influences our values, influences our priorities, influences how we spend our time, how we communicate, how we spend our money. How we decide that this is the agenda, this is my agenda. It has to be this way. And what we attach ourselves to. How we show up in the world. It's after 7. I'm here to stay for more questions if you'd like, but thank you so much. Namaste to you guys. Thank you. I'm going to